Hey y'all, so back at the beehive again. While I was hoping that my last inspection would be the last one before winter, I was looking at my pest management tray after my mite treatments recently, and I noticed some wax moth larvae in my bottom tray. And so I need to inspect the bottom box, which is the brood box, which I don't always go in inspections, but this inspection is gonna be a complete inspection. I don't always go in it because I don't wanna disturb them, and if I don't see any reason to go there, then there's no need. But because of the larvae that I found in the pest tray, it gives me cause to go down there. So we're gonna do that, make sure we don't have some sort of wax moth infestation that I am unaware of. There's probably like 4 or 5 wax moths. This is what wax moth larvae looks like. Sorry, I'm having a hard time. Hopefully you can get a good look at that. I can hardly see in my veil. The sun's kind of shining in. So anyways, there's a number of those guys in this bottom tray, which I don't particularly love, so we need to check that out. So what I will do is inspect both boxes. I don't really expect many issues with the honey super, which is the very top, but I'm hoping that I don't have to take any frames out and freeze them. That is how you get rid of wax moth larvae. And this late in the season, I don't really want to do that because I am a beginner beekeeper and I do not have the luxury of having drawn out frames just sitting around. So I will have to move some frames of honey from the super down below into the brood box to give them drawn out comb for the queen to lay on, and hopefully they'll move that honey back up. And the other frames that I'll have to put in the honey super will be undrawn frame, foundationless frames, which is not ideal for this time of year, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So let's just go ahead and get to it, and we'll see what we find. There's this weird like light coming through this tree right here, and it's making it hard for me to see. So I hope this video shows everything without some harsh sun in it. The bees over here on this celosia, the bees and all the pollinators, they absolutely love that celosia. I'll be taking a whole bunch of cuttings and seeds from that and scattering them throughout the back garden, and maybe some in the front as well. It gets pretty big though. Let the bees clean up that remainder feed on that feeder, and let's just get started. They're also sealing their hives up for winter with propolis to keep all of the wind, and they'll seal up any little gaps with propolis. So I imagine we're gonna be pretty sealed up here. Might take a little while to get some of this pried off. I'm seeing some winter bees, which is a good sign, obviously. Winter bees are just built a little bit different. They're a little bit bigger. Their physiology is just a little bit different. Got quite a bit of propolis going on here, but everything looks good so far. Trying to decide if I even want to take these frames out for this honey. These frames are really fat and they have them, you know, kind of perfectly built. But what I really need to do is get into the brood box. But with all this honey in here, it's going to be extremely heavy. So I'm going to have to remove some frames. I'm not going to be able to get around this. This is a pretty good looking honey frame. Unfortunately, they haven't finished this one, which is a little bit of a bummer. A lot of people don't go two deeps, but here in Oklahoma for the winter, we really do need two deeps. So that's the reason for my choice of two deeps. Obviously, if I had a medium super on here, this would be much easier to manage. As far as just kind of taking this honey super off. Gosh, I don't know how much this weighs. I bet this weighs a good 15 pounds, this frame. It's totally full. Really great looking honey frame. A little wonky on this side. On my side, it's a little bit more straight. Gosh, the brood nest is just really full down there. I'm really happy with the performance of these bees this year. If I wasn't feeding, I would be harvesting. I would have harvested a lot of honey this year. Now they might have not made near as much honey because I was feeding them, or if I wasn't feeding them, they might not have made as much honey, but I think I still would have had plenty to harvest, which is exciting. And I'll try to find the queen in this inspection. again, since I am going down into the brood box, I'll try to find her. A lot of people have asked, you know, usually you don't have to find her. You can find all of the right signs. That will tell you that she's there. And it is late in the season, but I have drones still in this hive, which is pretty rare. Drones are male bees. I actually see one right over here. Let me see if I can show you guys this. I'm gonna try to go back and circle it. This guy right here. See how he's so much bigger? He's a drone, male bee. Trying to decide how many of these frames that I can take out to where I can lift this box. If you think about these frames weighing about 10 to 15 pounds a piece, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames in here because I've taken out 4. You can also get 8 frames, which makes it a little bit easier to manage as well, but I just don't really think I need to take this out, so I really just want to get this super off. And then what I'll do is I'll set it back here. I'll just flip it like this and set it back here, but I have to get it off first. And to get it off, I have to get it pried off. So I need to make sure that it's loose on the top and loose on the bottom. Excuse me, on the back and the front. Okay, got it. So now what I'll do is I am just going to flip this guy on its back here. Yeah, very heavy. And then here is a look. I don't think I can get any closer at the brood box itself. Like these 3 frames over here is where I was seeing some wax moth activity. So let's get some of these frames out. And then trying to remember the direction in which these frames go is also important. So there's also that. They typically fit how they need to fit, if that makes sense. Like they've built the comb the way it needs to be built. We got a lot of honey here, like a lot of honey. Just using some smoke to clear the bees out on these edges right here. Don't want to squish anybody, but I got to get the propolis broke up a little bit. Okay, and these frames are the frames You can see this looks a little bit different. I can't get too much closer because these frames risk having the queen on them. Got some dark honey in this frame, so that's cool. Got some more drones here. Don't see any wax moth in this frame. Wax moths will generally got a lot of bee bread going on though, which is awesome. Something else that I wanted to check was their pollen stores. So I don't want to roll the queen here either, so that is also important. And when you get like this situation, you start running out of places to put your frames, which ends up being a problem. And you don't want to put these on the ground like I put some of the Honey Super stuff on the ground, because if the queen is on there and you missed her, she might never come back to this hive. And now is not a good time to be queenless. I'm not going to pull all these frames, but I am going to pull enough to try to figure out if I can see if the wax moth was coming from my pest tray or if the wax moth was coming from these brood frames. I'm going to have to move this. Double check one more time for the queen here. So this here, all honey. We have a ton of honey. I need to make sure they're not going to get honey bound either. All of this is nectar and bee bread in this darker area here. Okay, well, got stung, so I'm bringing out the heavier guns. I don't like to wear these, but sometimes it is what it is. I don't have as much tactile feeling here, so that's why I dislike these. But to me, getting stung on the fingers hurts the worst. Got some brood here, which is nice, at least on this side. Let me see over here. Got some brood. Oh, there's a bee emerging. How cool. Actually, more than one. Okay, let me look for the queen here before I lose my train of thought. Got some new baby bees. I love that. And I'm not seeing Okay, well, I love the brood. I'm looking for eggs here, but eggs can be really hard to see, especially in the lighting that I'm in. Not the best. So we're gonna put this frame back here. We're gonna move on to the next one. Typically, you're gonna see the queen in the middle frames, generally. They aren't very happy. They really don't want me in here right now, and I really don't want to be in here either, but these are really propolized down, and these are the frames that I really have to be careful with. I don't want to roll the queen. Gosh, I've got a lot of drones in here. Sorry if I look a little bit funny. I'm trying to keep these in the frame of the camera. But I'm really happy that I'm not seeing wax moth issues here. Got larvae. Bet we got some eggs in there somewhere. They're just hard to see. Cells are built slightly upward, so it's easier to see, but I have larvae in a lot of different stages. I'm gonna guess there's eggs in here. Got some drone comb over here to the left, right over here, about where all these bees are. The comb is much bigger. I am very shocked at how many drones that I have still. They are not happy. I haven't been stung in a really long time. So the hand sting, the thumb sting is a bummer. And that's gonna linger on for a while. It typically does, unfortunately. Okay, well that was one of the frames that I was somewhat worried about with the wax moth, based on what I saw on the pest tray down below. So it's a good sign. Some people in a previous video ask why I go so slow. And especially down here, it's so I don't roll the queen. Wow, this has a lot of drone comb in the middle here. Interesting. Which is where wax moths would like to be, if they had their preference. Yeah, I have a ton of drones in here. Wow. Usually the drones are kind of kicked out by now. Have a lot of baby bees hatching. And I do not see the queen yet. gosh, drones everywhere. I am shocked. This hive requeened themselves. I allowed them to requeen themselves. Generally, that's when you get your best queens. I don't see her on here yet, but we do have a lot of honey. Don't see any wax moth damage, so I'm gonna pull this one last frame. Because I really just don't see any reason to keep going here, just disturbing them more, because I'm not seeing the pest that I was concerned about. Okay, well, I'm happy with this. It's my least favorite part. Putting this honey super back on is very difficult. And I try not to kill any bees, but it makes it really hard. Okay, let's get these honey supers, these honey frames back in here. Okay. New clean feeder that I will come back out here in just a second and put some 2-to-1 sugar water in. But now that I've got this hive closed back up, because it is robbing season, so it is important that I get this closed up. Now that I have this closed up, I'm going to take this inside, I'm going to wash it. I'm going to swap out the pest tray really quick for a clean one. I've got to put oil in it. Of course I don't have enough. Forgot to fill that up. I'm gonna go make some food, put some more oil in my pest tray, but let's actually go ahead and talk about some of these pests while I have my gloves on. Make sure I can give you guys a better look. So here is a wax moth. I'll put a picture of wax moths and small hive beetle larvae difference in a picture. See if I can get this out without making an absolutely huge mess. But this is a hive beetle right here. Looks just like a little black beetle. They go inside the comb, they lay their eggs, and then they come out like little worms. And wax moths are just that. They are moths that go in and do the same thing as hive beetles, lay their eggs, and then the wax moths will tunnel through the wax on the comb, damaging brood and other things like that. So couple pests that you always need to be looking out for. So again, I wasn't checking for hive beetles because they're very, this hive has been very good at defending against hive beetles, but I was concerned to see 5 or 6 wax moths larvae on the bottom board, so I wanted to double check that. And unfortunately, I didn't find the queen, but I just got to a certain point in this inspection where I found everything that I was looking for. They had good bee bread, they had good pollen stores, they have a surplus of honey, which is good. They need all of that through the winter time. So as much as I wanted to show you the queen, I didn't think it was worth risking going through all of those frames to look at, just to find the queen, because if I rolled her or I killed her on accident during this inspection, it is a very bad time to need a queen going into winter. And I would have to buy one that was mated, have it shipped here. They're roughly $40 plus shipping. And like I said, then you have to introduce them in 3 days, make sure they're released, go back in and do another hive inspection. And so it's just much easier not to have to go in and risk rolling the queen when all the other frames looked fine. And it was the second, third, and fourth frame that I could see all of the debris that looked like came from the wax moth, like their poop and stuff. You can see that in lines on that pest board, and that will give you an indication of where your problem is. And so after I got past those, I went a couple more frames just to see if I could see her, but I didn't see her and just didn't want to risk hurting her this late in the season. So I'm gonna go get some 2-to-1 sugar water mixed up. I'm gonna feed these bees. I'm going to add some Honey Bee Healthy into it. That's worked really well for me as of late. I probably started feeding them some Honey Bee Healthy. It's an additive, it goes a long ways. And I probably started feeding that to them about 3 or 4 months ago. So anyway, that is all that I have for this video. I apologize for not being able to find the queen, but if you wouldn't mind, please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye.